Hi there, welcome back. I'm Angus from AngusDriving.co.uk. Let's have a look at another test route that's used quite commonly in the Currie test area and see what we get. Let's get into it. As usual, you join me behind the test centre in Currie at the moment. We're going to leave the car park and I'll start driving and just talk about this test route as we go and see what comes up today and what we managed to capture. So, leaving the car park, we're going to have a quick check around before I go, just checking over both shoulders that no one's like cutting through the car park, driving or anything. It all looks okay. So I'm going to leave here and turn left as I leave the car park. So just taking your time, as I was saying most of the videos. It's quite bumpy here, but yeah, just taking our time, and at the end here we're going to turn to the left. So as I approach, I'm going to do interior mirror, left door mirror, signal left. There's a lorry just coming around here. I know you won't see it in the camera yet. I'm just going to pause just because it's narrow. It'll come into view in a second. It's looking like it's stopping. It's going up on the pavement. It's flashing to let me come out, but I'll just go forward slowly. And I'm just going to carefully go round. I'll wave to say thank you. I think he's just parking there, but he was just telling me I could come out, but yeah. And at the end of the road here, I'm going to turn to the left, okay? So as I approach, interior mirror, left door mirror, signal left. I'm already in first because of the sort of coming to the car park. I'm just braking, clutch down to the car coming. I'm just going to gently roll up. I'm just going up to the line so I can see down to the left as well. It looks okay after this car, so I'm going to set my accelerator and gently lift the clutch. Now, along here, I'm going to turn left into this road coming up. So as I approach, interior mirror, left door mirror, signal left. The sign here tells me that it's one way. Cyclists are allowed to come towards me, but cars should not. Now, at the moment, there's a cycle lane. It's really faded, but you can see it on the right there. This cycle lane comes all the way along this road. So at the end of this road, because it's one way, yes, we're going to be turning right at the end. So yes, we'll be able to go over to the right, but we'll have to make sure that we don't block the cycle lane coming in. As we drive along here, let's find a safe place to pull up and stop on the left before we do that. So mirror, mirror, signal. This section of curb looks good, so I'm bringing the front corner over beside the curb and I'm stopping there. This way I'm not blocking anyone's driveway, I'm not opposite any parked cars, and in this case not opposite a junction. So when you're ready, drive on again. So you're going to get that about 4 or 5 times in the driving test. All they're looking at is, can you select a suitable place to pull up and stop? And before you leave, are you going to check your right shoulder to that blind spot? Because the mirrors will give me a good view, but that won't pick up this driveway and stuff here. So off you go when you're ready. So into first gear. There's a car just coming into the street just behind me, so I'm not going to signal because I don't have any intention of going in front of these 2 cars that have just arrived. But after them, it's looking quite good. So as the second car starts to arrive, I'm going to get my accelerator set and bring my clutch just to the biting point, so I've got the car ready. The mirrors look good. I'm going to confirm my right shoulder. It looks good. Signal on, release the handbrake, and off I go. The reason I didn't signal before them was I didn't have any intention of going before them. So if I sit with my signal on, one of them might then stop to let me go, and it puts me under a bit of pressure where, yeah, I don't think there's any problem me sitting there just waiting till they're gone and then signalling. If I thought the only possible way for me to get away was for someone to let me go, then of course I would put the signal on. So you'll see the cycle lane just at the end. We're turning right, mirror, mirror, signal. It's really faded on the ground there. So the car in front's actually in it. Of course I'm in it just as I'm going past this car, but after it's really faded, but you want to try and just get back to the left of it if you can. So I'm just going to sort of edge back over to here, just there, so I'm back out the cycle lane. Now I'm keeping the accelerator on, I'm just getting the clutch to the biting point as I'm coming up. Looking both ways, it looks quite good. I had someone the other day that picked up a fault there for coming up, but they were still in the cycle lane. So yeah, trying to get out of it. It would be brilliant, obviously, if the cycle lane was clearly marked. It would be a lot easier to follow and see. So we're driving down here. We've still got speed bumps, which normally indicate that it's 20. It is 20 going down here. There should be more signs on these lampposts repeating 20, but there's not. So you just got to be careful that you don't go over 20 at the beginning. The test route we're going to have a look at today is, it's quite a classic test route. It's using back roads to go up to Balerno, but it's used quite a lot, quite regularly. They can use it if there's anything wrong with traffic, or if they're running late for something, like if they've maybe been held up on a test before, then yeah, this test will be used regularly. So it's a bit of a classic route, so it's good to just make sure you're sort of comfortable with it. Down here it goes into a 40. Before I start to accelerate, I'm just going to check sort of behind me. The car behind is not overtaking me, so I'm going to start to build the speed with my accelerator. If the car was beginning to overtake me, I'd be careful not to accelerate as it goes past, and once it's past I could accelerate. Now it can be quite narrow going into here, so I find if you focus down to the left at that curb ahead, that should keep you sort of on track, especially if you spot something like a big lorry or a bus or something coming towards you. If you look down to your left, you won't get distracted, like you'll know where you are. You don't have to do 40 through these corners, 40 would feel quite fast. On this straight though, it looks like it's more suitable to pick up the speed up back up to 40. Now, as you drive down here at the roundabout at the bottom, we're going to go straight on, following the road ahead, second exit. If you come down here, that's always where you're going to go in the driving test, because you're not going to turn into Heriot-Watt University. So on the sign, it's a bit covered. I can see you can only turn left or go straight on. So because there's no right turn, I'm anticipating the right lane's going to go ahead. So I'm going to check my interior mirror and then I'm going to start to brake. I'm not signalling because I'm going straight on, second exit. I'm bringing the speed down to 20 before it curves. Looking at that car, it's on the outside, so I'm going to go second gear and clutch up. So that car was on the outside position, so it's not going to come around the roundabout, okay, because it had come from the other side. So I'm staying with the roundabout until it's time to leave, and at this point, interior mirror, left door mirror, signal left. And I'm just checking that nobody is on my left before I exit the roundabout. Now, if everybody's following the rules, there should not be anybody on my left. But if there was, I'll have to react to that. Straight on, second exit of this roundabout. So looking at the sign, you can only go left or straight on. There's no right turn, so you're anticipating it'll be in the right to go ahead. Check the mirror, come off the power. Looking at the road markings, it's marked in the right to go ahead. I've dropped my speed down to 20. I'm happy with what I see. I'm going to go into second gear before it curves, clutch up. Stay with the roundabout. Steer yourself round until you're facing this exit, then mirror, mirror, signal, and then out we go. Again, just checking that there's nobody beside me. Now at this roundabout, I'm going to go left, first exit that I can take. On the sign, you'll see that there's a turn off for the buses, and then there's a turn off for the road. So it's basically, I'm not going to turn in where the buses go, so I'm not going to signal. I'm going to stay on the left. The traffic lights are going to red, so I'm going to check my interior mirror, and I'm going to start to brake gently. I'm going to follow around with the curb here, and I'm going to go clutch down into first. So yeah, on the left here, the first turn off takes you into where the buses go for the park and ride. So you're not allowed to turn in there. If you're following a sat-nav, it will just say left first exit. So that's it going green, so it's setting my accelerator, lifting my clutch. Once I've passed this turn off for the buses, I'm going to go first to second, then I'm going to do mirror, mirror, signal. I'm going to follow this curve as I come round. Looking at the sign there, it tells you that the lane beside me merges into my lane, and it goes into a 40. So as I'm building, I'm just going to check no one's doing anything strange in that lane. The crossing looks okay. This lorry, the guy is looking at me, so I don't think they're going to pull out in front of me. So I'm just cruising along, making sure I get up towards 40 if it's suitable, because it looks pretty good. That's me up at 40. But just checking I don't go over it either. Now we're heading along, and soon the speed increases again into 50, so you'll see it then see it coming up on the speed limit signs here. So it'll just be the same as earlier. Before I increase to 50 if suitable, which it looks like it is, I'm just going to check that no one's like overtaking me, and then I'm going to start to increase. Again, if somebody was doing something like overtaking you, just stay sort of steady at the speed you're at until they're passed. Now I'm making sure I don't get too close to the vehicle in front, so I'm picking up the speed, but I'm leaving a gap. With the conditions being dry, I want to have at least 2 seconds of following distance between me and the car in front. If it was wet, I would want 4 seconds, and at the higher speeds, that would be big. So I can count when that car goes past the sign for the corner. Only a fool breaks the 2-second rule. I can say that easily before I pass that, so I know I've got my 2 seconds. So in theory, it should take you 2 seconds to say only a fool breaks the 2-second rule, compared to just being like 1, 2. Now along here we're going to turn left. So this is one of the first things, another thing that people get wrong. So we've got a sign up here saying we're turning left. So I'm going to do interior mirror, left door mirror, signal left. Because we're on quite a fast road, they've made the junction really wide, so it's almost like a wee slip road. You're going to peel off, it's not hatched off, so come into here, braking gently, down to 20 before it curves, into second, clutch up, and then just follow that left position. It now goes into national speed limit, so 60 for a car. So that white circle with the black diagonal line would be national speed limit, which would be 60 for a car. So I'm building the speed. Now, of course, 60 would be very sort of fast along here. You could have paths coming out to these woods. You could have, like, you know, anything that your view could be blocked from. So I think 60 is going to be far too fast. I've got myself up to 42 at the moment, and I'm going to 45. So 45 I think is probably good enough for me. Not sure what's happening around the corner, so before I get there I'm going to check my mirror, and I'm just going to come off the power. I'm just letting the speed fall. Because it's uphill, it's dropping down, and I'm looking through. I'm happy with what I see, so I'm going to accelerate. So I'm coming into there balanced at a speed that if there was anything around the corner I could deal with it. Further up the road I can see a cyclist. Now the cyclist is approaching the brow of a hill, so of course I'm not going to be able to overtake because I can't see what's happening. So I know that's going to slow me, so I'm going to check my interior mirror and I'm going to come off the power. The the speed's falling down, and I'm going to slow down, and then usually behind the cyclist, second gear is quite a good gear. So I'm in second gear, I can now see up the road, I'm happy with what I see, so I'm checking my mirrors, and I'm just carefully going out, giving the cyclist plenty of room. Once I've cleared them, I'm going to account for them, check them in the mirrors, I can see that I've cleared them, and back I come. If the brow of the hill was further up, I would just have to wait until I could see. Now we're going to turn right up here. There's the sign to say the turn's coming up, so mirror, mirror, signal right. The road is at the brow of this hill, it runs between these two trees. I don't know if I'm able to turn, so I'm just braking at the moment, and I'm looking along the road. I'm happy with what I see, so I'm going to go into second gear. I'm waiting until the middle of that road lines up with my knee, then I'm going to do big steering, and that will take me in on my side of the road, so I won't cut across the lane and into the traffic that could be coming out. Still national speed limit along here. The way you'd be able to tell, there's no lamp post repeating anything, and there's no speeds being repeated. So if they wanted to make this road 40, they would have to keep on putting repeater signs saying 40 all the way along. Again, I'm still, at the moment I'm just doing 30. It's quite bumpy here, but there could be activity around these houses. It opens up a wee bit better here, I can see a bit more, so I'm going to accelerate, and I'm heading back up towards 45, because I think that feels pretty well balanced. It feels fast enough for what I can see. I've definitely got the sort of rhythm of the road, but I think 60 would feel pretty quick going along here. Further ahead, the road just disappears. You can see the sign, it just goes 90 degrees round to the right. So I'm going to check my mirror, I'm going to brake gently, and I'm going to lower my speed down to 20, and I'm going to go second gear again. So anything that's 90 degrees, I think second gear is quite good. We're staying to the left as we come round. That way, if as we come round we meet like a tractor or something like that, we're already over to the left and out the way. Just on the other side of this hump, we're going to be turning left. It comes up quite quickly, so I'm going to do interior mirror, left door mirror, signal left. I'm off the power, and I'm just braking lightly, and I'm just sort of going to be following around with the bank and keeping myself nice and neat as I look into this road. I'm happy with what I see, so I can start accelerating gently just to build the speed back up. Basically, this road, it just keeps on repeating, but it's quite good for the examiner to see if somebody is going to adjust the speed appropriately. Are they going to bring the speed up when they can see, and are they going to lower it when they can't see? Road goes 90 degrees round to the right, checking the interior mirror, braking smoothly down towards 20, going to go for second gear, clutch up, and looking through it looks good, so I'm coming in. I'm just keeping it nice and sort of gentle as I come round here, keeping it tucked in case I meet something big, having a look, looks good, so I'm going to start to accelerate again. Now the side of the road there is a bit broken up with potholes and stuff. I can clearly see there's nobody coming towards me, so I'm favouring like a little bit out so that I'm not getting caught in all these potholes, but I can also see that it's safe enough to do that. Where of course, if somebody was coming towards me, I would want to bring myself a bit more to the left. If it did look really broken up with potholes, I'd have to go a wee bit slower, maybe and time things depending on how big the potholes were. That's the sort of thing. So here's a track. I'm going to check my interior mirror and my left door mirror. I'm going to wait here because it actually looks wider here. So yeah, so when I checked the mirrors there was nobody behind me or anything, and then I'm going to accelerator and then guide my clutch. I think if I had to, I could fit through with the tractor here, but that was a wider bit, and there was no one behind me, and I checked. I'm going to turn left here, mirror, mirror, signal. So it was actually probably easier for me just to gently pause in that wider section so the tractor could come through. Again, just following with the banking here. And then let's see what happens with the view over here. It looks okay, so I'm going to start to accelerate gently, and away I go. And I'm building the speed back up. Further down, I can see the road just sort of disappears sort of into the trees here. So yeah, as I'm coming down closer, I'm going to check my interior mirror because I might have to slow down. I'm going to come off the power, and there's a sign there to tell you the road sort of narrows, it pinches up. So I'm going to brake gently. I'm staying to the left, just watch I don't hit this sort of bush that sticks out. Got a narrow bridge here. I'm just coming in slowly. It looks okay for what I can see, so I'm going to accelerate through. Now it's not marked up as anybody's right of way there, so either if there was someone coming towards you, they might give way to you, but I think just come in slow enough that you can give way. Same again, all repeats, narrow bit up ahead, you can see it narrows up here. So I'm checking the mirror, I'm just coming off the power, because it's so uphill, that's going to slow me down enough. The car's dropped down to 20, I've gone into second gear, I'm just coming in slowly just to check, it all looks good, all okay, so I'm going to start to accelerate again. And I'm giving it a good press of the power there before I change into third, because it's quite steep and it's suitable to do so. Of course, if I had another cyclist, a horse rider, a pedestrian ahead, then I would just sort of respond to that. Further up the road, I can see it goes into a 30, so I'm checking the mirror. By easing off the power, I can have it down to 30 quite easily because it's so uphill, the speed's going to fall. Further up I can see it reduces again into 20, it just all repeats, checking my mirror coming off the power, and it's down at 20, so I'm going to go into second gear and just drive along. Okay, find a safe place on the left to pull up and stop. So this bit looks quite good. I'm going to do interior mirror, left door mirror, signal left, bringing the front corner over beside the curb, and then just steering it away just gently just so I don't catch the curb, and I'm stopping before this driveway. I'm just going to go handbrake, neutral, cancel signal. Drive on again when you're ready. So yeah, into first gear, I'm happy ahead with what I see. I'm going to check the mirrors, all looks good, checking the right shoulder, that all looks good, so signal on and then release the handbrake. And of course if I wasn't happy, don't go. And you're going to just keep on getting that. Now once I've cleared this car, I'm going to be checking interior mirror, left door mirror as I position back. And I've just got to make sure I don't go over 20 now. 20 now feels incredibly slow after being on that back road, which was narrower and I was going faster. It looks okay to go past this car, so I'm checking mirrors actually. Scrap that. Brake, clutch first. Coming off the brake before I stop. Setting my accelerator and guiding the clutch. This guy waved me through, but then he's decided to come through. That's fine. It's good. But yeah, I was giving way and he waved me through to say come through. But yeah, that's fine. Now further up it goes into a 30. So I've got I'm aware of that. I'm turning left at the end, so I'm doing mirror, mirror, signal, brake, clutch before it curves. I'm in first because I've given way, coming round to the curb, and as I'm coming up, I'm looking both ways. And I'm quite happy with what I see, so I'm going to set my accelerator and then guide my clutch. Now there's this person with their dogs, they're sort of sitting right out on the edge. I'm going to just check my mirrors. I'm going to bulge out slightly because yeah, they're sort of pulling out slightly just in case they pull out towards the car. Because I can see no one's coming, yeah, I'll put that bit of a gap in, and then that just takes the risk right out. I'm not really worried what happens with them. Like in regards to they won't be able to come out in front of me. I'm not saying I'm not worried about the dogs. Yeah. Now, down at the traffic lights down here, another common place that people fail in the Currie area, we're going to turn right. Now looking at the sign there, it's a right turn, but your road continues down into Edinburgh. So you've got to give way to the oncoming traffic. So we're going to do mirror, mirror, signal. So this is good, it's red, I'll be able to explain it. So we're going to come down a little first. Now when it goes green, your road curves round to the left here, okay? So yes, I'm turning down to the right down here. However, I have to give way to the cars that are on the other side. So when I go forwards here, I need to go forwards and I need to curve slightly round to the left so I can see down there and assess if it's okay to turn. I need to make sure that I curve round enough that I'm not getting in the way of the traffic if it's coming past me. So I'll go forwards, but then imagine where the road goes, it curves round. So just curve round slightly. I can now see down there, so I'm going to stop here. Now, if these cars were going past me that way, they could get past, and people could get past on my left to head to Edinburgh. I'm happy that it's clear now, so off I go. There is space on that traffic light on the other side. There is space for a green arrow, so if that came on, you're okay to turn. It's a bit narrower through here, just checking mirrors. I've got the flashing sign on the left here for the school, the 20 sign, but it's not flashing at the moment, so 30 miles an hour still applies. But if it was flashing, 20 would apply from there. So yeah, that set of traffic lights is very worth having either a replay of that video, make sure you fully understand it, or actually going up and doing it yourself, like having a go at it, because it's a really common place that people fail. It's not actually that difficult, it's just people just aren't familiar with it. I'm going to go straight on at this roundabout, following the road ahead, it's second exit. I'm just checking the mirrors as I come back in. It goes into a 20 here. I'm going to go into second gear because I'm happy with what I see, staying on the outside of the circle for going straight on. Once I'm round, I'm going to do interior mirror, left door mirror, signal left, and it goes back into a 30 here. Looking into this narrow bit, it looks okay to continue. Yes, I've got right of way, but if something really big was in there, so imagine I come round there and there's a lorry halfway down there or a bus already coming down there, I might have to pause to allow it to come out. I've got a van parked here, but it looks okay for me just to check interior mirror, right door mirror, and just position out. I'm getting right off it, so in case it opens the door, checking mirror, mirror just as I come back. Now, as you drive up here, a really common thing that they might ask you to do here is find a safe place on the right to pull up and stop. So I've got lots of places here, but I don't want to be opposite that junction. So I'm going to do mirror, mirror, signal, and then after this guy, there's a guy along there, but I think I can get over before they get here, so I'm going to go over, bring myself along beside the curb, and then neat to the curb, and I'm just going to stop there. So, if they were closer and I didn't feel like I could get over before them, I would have my right signal on, but I would just wait beside the line as if I was turning right. Even if there was traffic behind me, I would just sit waiting until they've come through, and then once they've come through, I would go across, along, and stop. Okay. When you're ready, reverse back 2 car lengths. That's what the examiner would say. So as long as no one's driving up and down the road and no one's walking on this pavement here that could sort of go behind the car, or someone stepping off the pavement on that side to go to behind the car, then we should be able to go. So let's give it a go. The examiner will tell you when you've done your 2 car lengths, so you don't need to worry about you deciding. They'll just say stop. So yeah, all about the observation. So quick check over both shoulders. I'm happy with what I see. There's no one driving up and down sort of with me, and yeah, I'm just going back slowly. Now as I go back, between doing my checks, I'm going to keep on having a look on this right door mirror to see how I am with the curve. I'm just going to pause for this car. Once this car's gone past, just check shoulder, shoulder, and then off I go. Now, it looks quite good. I'm quite happy with the angle I am with the curb. If I felt like the car was beginning to go near the curb, I would steer a little bit away from the curb. That would pull me away. I'll just wait for this car. If I felt like I was going away from the curb and I wanted to go back towards it, just a little bit towards it. Be careful if the adjustment, if you're getting too close to it, yes, you'll have to steer away, but be careful with how hard you steer away, because if you steer away very hard, the front corner, brilliant, the back will go out, but the front corner will go that way, which will mean the front corner will hit the curb, if that makes sense. So after this car, it looks okay. So I'm checking shoulder, shoulder, and just continuing back. I'm just going at like sort of, you know, just basically about a walking pace. And then, yeah, I'm going to stop there. That's me done the 2 car lengths. When you're ready, drive on. So this time, when you're pulling away from the side of the road, the blind spot that we'd want you to check is over your left shoulder. So I've got a junction there in the background. You could have anything. You could have a junction, you could have driveways, or just, you know, parked cars or anything happening over there. So yeah, looking behind me, I've got a van coming up, but after that it's looking okay. I'll just quickly check, good. So yeah, I'm quite happy. I'm going to do a signal and then off I go. I'm just sort of edging it enough to see past the vans that are further up, but it all looks okay, and I'm going to continue on. So remembering that it's 30 up here, I can start to build my speed back up to 30 if suitable. And if you come up to Balerno, because all of these housing estates are all dead ends, they don't have a manoeuvre anymore to turn you around. So they used to have, like, you know, you could go into one of these and get you to reverse around a corner. They could get you to do a 3-point turn. That was back when that used to be in the driving test. Because those manoeuvres no longer exist, they can't go into a dead end because they're not going to be able to turn you around. So if you come up here, you'll usually just do the perimeter of Balerno, which is what we're going to do. So yeah, it's a fairly sort of straightforward bit of road. You're just making sure that you don't go over 30 as you go along. There'll be a few meeting places, you know, but in general it's fairly sort of straightforward. So we've got a parked car up here. Looking up ahead, it looks okay to go past it, so I'm going to check interior mirror, right door mirror, and just position out. Once I've cleared this red car, I'm going to check interior mirror, left door mirror, just before I come back. And all I'm doing there is I'm checking that it's okay to move out for that parked car, and once I've cleared it, have I cleared it? Am I safe to move back? Something like the red car isn't beginning to pull away as I go around it. So yeah, now we're going to continue round, and the road sort of disappears a little bit further up. Sometimes there can be parked cars sort of further in this corner. I've got a cat in the middle of the road, but it looks like it's going to be crossed. I'll check my interior mirror just in case I feel that I need to slow down more for the cat or any parked cars, but the cat's gone. But yeah, what I'd be doing is checking it to see, is there anyone close to me? If there is, I might have to slow down earlier so it's more relaxed. So yeah, now further along I've got a line of parked cars here, and the road sort of goes over a sort of rise. It looks okay for what I can see, so I'm going to check interior mirror, right door mirror, and yeah, I'm just going to double check that is all good. So yeah, just waiting to see right over that rise. And then yeah, we've got more parked cars. Because this one's just here, I'm not going to bother sort of zigzagging in and out because I can see that it's clear. This next section is quite big, so I think I will go back in here, check mirror, mirror, and then looks like we've got some sort of traffic lights further along. Now it'd be difficult to work out, is this a queue, is it not? But we'll spot some cars are facing towards us, so it's not a queue for the traffic lights, so we're checking mirror, mirror. But take your time with that sort of thing when you've got the sort of parked cars there and the traffic lights, because that could be a queue for it. So like, yeah, just watch, you don't rush in. And then yeah, we're going to be turning left at the end, so just checking the mirrors as I come back, and then I'm going to wait just here, it says, so I'll wait back here. Now, a common thing that people will get wrong here, and I've got a video all about temporary traffic lights, which I'll link in this video, but here I'm going to turn left at the end, so of course the traffic lights will go green, but the junction at the end at the moment, that's not in action, so I should be okay. If it goes green, I should be okay just to turn left like that, not stop at the junction to look. I can have a glance to check that no one's come through a red light or anything like that. So that's it going green, so I'm going to check mirror, mirror just as I pull out, because something like a cyclist or motorbike could be coming down the side, and then I'm going to turn left, so mirror, mirror, signal. and then I'm just going slowly, just checking that no one's sort of, you know, coming through traffic lights or anything, or like you can see, like these cars who live here are parked in behind the traffic light, so it could be movement, but I should be okay just to sort of turn out of that in a way. Further down, there's the obstructions are on my side. There's a car and a van coming up, but I should be okay to get through. I'm just going to check my mirror. I'm just going to ease off the power just because I will be a little bit closer to these parked cars. And now that they're gone, I'm just going to move back across. So there, I intentionally went a little bit nearer the parked cars. I was still off them enough that I could react and stuff. But yeah, because I know that I'm closer, so if anything does happen, I'll have to be a wee bit sharper at reacting to it. By slowing down, that gave me time. I've got a parked Land Rover here, and it looks okay to go past. I'm checking interior mirror, right door mirror, just as I position out. And once I've cleared it, interior mirror, left door mirror, just as I come back. Now, further down, the speed limit reduces down to a 20. You can see it there, and you'll see it faintly written on the road. So I'm just letting go of the power. It's already fallen and bang on 20. So yeah, just making sure that I don't go over 20. More cones and stuff. Seems to be roadworks everywhere here. So yeah, just keeping an eye on it. I've got more parked cars on the left down here. So, and I've got the tip of a sign which is hidden by the cars, but I can see the road worker sort of man and things saying temporary traffic lights. So I'm having a look. You can see the temporary traffic lights. Is it okay to go in? It is. So mirror, just as I move out. But again, you could have a bus or something coming through there. You might be able to go in and go to there. Depends what the setup is. And then I'm checking mirror, just as I come back. Smooth braking, clutch down into first, and I'm just stopping here. So I've got plenty of room to get back out. So yeah, when it goes green, again, I'll be checking that mirror, because I'll have to steer out for the traffic lights. And I'm just checking that no one is doing anything, no one's coming around me. So I'm checking mirror, and it all looks good. And I'm just going to move out. And past we go, making sure I don't go over 20 at the moment. Further down the road, I'm going to be going back into a 30, checking the mirrors as I clear the traffic light. So it goes into a 30 down here, and it looks okay to proceed through. So I'm going to accelerate gently, but there's quite a lot going on, so I'm not going to increase too much. I'm not going all the way up to 30 at the moment, because the road's continuing to disappear as well. And yeah, like I don't know exactly what's with all these cones and stuff, what's going to be coming up. Now at the end of the road, we're going to turn to the right. So as we approach, we're going to do interior mirror, right door mirror, signal right. I'm really neat to the centre of the road. The road markings are pretty faded here, but it's the road end, so smooth braking, clutch down into first. And there's a couple of things coming there, but I'm going to edge forwards gently, and then it looks okay after them, looks good that way, so I'm going to accelerate. There's a van coming, but I think if I accelerate, I'll pull away quite the thing before it. And I'm building back up to 30 because it looks quite good ahead. So you might recognise this is the road we came down at the beginning. So yeah, that's you done the lap of Balerno. So we're going to head up to the traffic lights here, where we're going to turn to the right. Narrow here with the two parked cars. It looks like it's going to be okay after that car, so I'm going to just check interior mirror, right door mirror, just as I position out, and I should get through before this guy. And I'm going to turn right at the end here, so mirror, signal, smooth braking, clutch down and into first. The guy was beeping at the guy behind me because that guy came through. Yeah, I was fine, I was through. But yeah, but at the same time, I don't know, like they've you know, neither of them got right of way, so like yeah, it's not the guy who beeped on their right of way either. We've got a green arrow here pointing to the right, so we're good just to turn to the right. And yeah, we're sort of back out where we came in on the video earlier on. Now I'm driving down here, and I'm just making sure I don't go over 30. I've got a pedestrian crossing, the left of it looks good, the right of it looks good. Where if I saw somebody at it, I'd be anticipating that it might change. So it's the same things that interrupt you in driving, so you just got to keep on looking at it. And like I've said before, the examiner's really not looking for anything particularly fancy in the driving test. They just want to see that you've got control of the car and you're aware of your surroundings. Now we're going to continue straight on. They can vary it here. They could go into the estate on the left here and start to sort of weave your way down, kind of parallel with this, back down towards the test centre. There's a few entrances to this estate. I think it maybe depends on if you've done your manoeuvre, and maybe like sort of how long it's taken you, depending on the traffic, to get to this point. So the driving tests are every 57 minutes. So they've got to be back in time to start the next driving test. So normally your average driving test, you're driving for around about 40 to 45 minutes. Or you're out for 40 to 45 minutes. You're probably only driving for about sort of 35, 40 minutes. You'll also notice that in the length of my test route videos. They all come in sort of about the same sort of length of time. which is just yeah, that's like sort of average test time. I'm going to go straight on here. You could turn left into there, which would then take you into that same estate, but just a wee bit further up. We're going to turn left but further down because I want to show a couple of other things that are good to talk about, just to have you sort of very clear in your mind as to what's happening. So further down here, we're going to be turning into a road on the left. Now usually when you turn in, there's a line of parked cars on the opposite side of the road parked, which means that traffic coming towards you will be on your side of the road coming towards you. So I'm going to turn left into here. So mirror, mirror signal, smooth braking down towards 20. I'm going to go into second gear and clutch up, and I'm staying with the curb. So I see this parked car as I'm coming in, and I'm looking in and it looks good. So if that thing that just pulled out, that sort of bigger vehicle, if it was coming along, I'm going to have to pause there before I go in, because I'm not going to be able to pass it in this point here. Now during the driving test, you're following the road ahead unless the examiner tells you to turn left or right. So we're going to go in straight on here, so there'll be no signal. I'm just checking the mirror, but it's a road end to me, so I'm going to go into first. So we've got a car here coming up, and I'm just going to edge gently. I know I'm going to have to bulge over the line slightly just to see up to the left here. I've got another car here, but I can now see both ways. After this car, I think I'm quite happy there's no one else around, so I'm going to set my accelerator and then lift the clutch. And then looking into here, I've got right of way, but again, if somebody was maybe halfway up there, it depends how big they are. In this today, there's a space for them to go in, so I could continue on in knowing they could get into one of these spaces. But if it was a big lorry and you thought, oh, it won't fit in there, you might have to allow it to come out. Now I'm going to turn right at the end here. So I'm going to the interior mirror, right door mirror, signal right. I'm neat with the line. Now it's crossroads and I'm turning right, so I'll have to assess this road going sort of left and right. But if there was somebody ahead of me at the junction across there, I would have to give way to them if they were going straight on or turning along the same way as I'm going, because I'm crossing their path as well. So you'll find on quite a lot of driving test sheets, they'll throw in a right turn at crossroads. Now I saw a glimpse down the left of a car, so I'm going to check the mirror and I'm just going to brake gently, clutch down into first. I'm going to pause here before going into this narrow section. Now I'm stopping out towards the line here so I can see. It also means if somebody arrives behind me, they know I'm stopped waiting, and it means that when I go, there's not that much steering. So I'm checking the mirrors and then just a nice bit of steering just to sort of clear this car. It's quite tricky and fiddly, this housing estate. It's always quite parked up and there can be quite a lot of activity. Now continuing along, this car I think I'll have to wait there, and I'm just going to check the mirrors as I go around. So just that mirror, and I'll sort of wave to say thank you. Not really anyone's fault there, it's just difficult with all the parked cars. And just making your way along. We've got the Amazon van there. The Amazon vans can go in any door. So the guy went in the side door there, but I wouldn't be surprised if this starts to drive because they can walk through the van, right? So I know the guy just got in. I'm going to be turning right at the end. So I'm going to do interior mirror, right door mirror, signal right. But I'm watching to see if this van sort of does any movement, but it's looking okay. Guy's in the driver's seat and he's pulling it right behind me. So yeah, good smooth braking, clutch into first. Now again, he didn't do anything wrong, but it's worth knowing that these Amazon vans, which obviously, with Amazon being such a big company, there's so many of them on the road, it's worth knowing that the driver can go in any door but still start driving. Turning left at the end, mirror, mirror, signal. Very steep here. I'm going to come off the power, clutch into first. I'm going to set my accelerator and find the biting point before the car rolls back, and I'm edging. Now it's narrow with these parked cars opposite the junction, so I'm edging and I need to make sure that it's okay to go in. It looks okay to go in, so I'm going to go into this section keeping it tucked, and then it looks okay to go past these cars, so I'm checking mirror, mirror just as I pull out. At the end of the road, I'm going to be turning to the left, so I'm going to do mirror, mirror signal, and then I'll wave to say thank you to the cyclist. I'm just doing the brake clutch first. I'm aware of this car here that's like manoeuvring, so I'm coming round to the curb. I'm going to just check what it's doing before I go. I think it's going into the driveway, but I'll just check that looks like what it's doing. And then after this car, I think I'm happy. So I'm happy to my right, so I'm going to start to continue. I'm watching this guy, still going backwards. I'm staying in to have a look into this section, and it looks okay to continue down. So I'm checking interior mirror, right door mirror as I go out. And this car's going in, which it could then sort of swing round or whatever, but it looks okay. So I'm just taking my time, just making sure that all of these things play out and they make enough sense to me. Now down here, depending on the time of day, you could have activity at the school. You've normally got like a lollipop person here if you're doing your test first thing in the morning, so yeah, it can be a wee busy section, but you just take your time. The bus is coming through, so I'm going to check my mirror, and again I'm staying out, doing brake clutch first, and I've got a good view, and I'm about 2 car lengths back from this Mini that I've waited behind or in front of, so that I've got loads of room just to sort of get myself back out. After this Mini that's driving up, it should be okay. It's a car that shouldn't really come out because it's not on the road, so like it should wait there, but it's come, but I've got nothing I can do. Same with the next person. But if you were coming out of there, you should look up and think, well, like you've not got right of way yet, you're not on the road. So after this, I'm going to check interior mirror, right door mirror, and then off we go. So yeah, But you sort of anticipate it because it's classic driving from people. Turning right at the end, right into this road, so mirror signal. I'm just going to still position myself back out to the middle, happy ahead, in the centre of this road, lines up with my knee, big steering, and around I go. The lorry can see me before it commits to coming through, so it should wait there, so I'm happy. Where if that lorry had already started to come through, then I'd be waiting to, ready to have to wait back there to allow it to exit. It wouldn't be the lorry's fault, it would just be that the lorry had come through before it could see me. Find a safe place on the left to pull up and stop. So looking along here, there's a nice big section of curb coming up. So I'm going to do interior mirror, left door mirror, signal left. Bringing the front corner over beside the sort of driveway, going past the driveway, and I'm stopping nice and neat with this curb, and I'm stopping there. Drive on again when you're ready. So, just the usual, clutching into first, checking the mirrors, it looks good. Right shoulder, these driveways look fine, signal on, and then release the handbrake and away you go. Along here at the roundabout, continuing straight on, following the road ahead, second exit, okay? So there's exits all over this roundabout, so I'd expect the left lane to go ahead, the left position. There'd be no signal, just a signal to leave. So I'm checking the mirror, I've got a lorry on the other side, and there's no one on the right, so I'm going to stay on the outside. But the lorry on the other side, even if it was coming round, if we both leave at the same time, well, we'll stay the same distance away. Mirror signal, like we'll stay on the other, by the time it gets halfway around the roundabout, I'll be halfway around. I'll have to give way to this green car, so I'm staying with this line, brake, clutch first, and again stopping out, but far enough back from this, and then after this it looks okay, so I'm going to set my accelerator, checking the mirrors, and then away I go. Now, I'm starting to go, there's nowhere to pull in for this car, but I couldn't see it when I started, so I'm going to commit and I'm going to turn left into this road. Mirror signal. I'll wave to say thank you. Now, this can be a really difficult bit, so I'm going to slow down, I'm going to go into first gear, and I'm going to come round here slowly, and it looks okay, so I'm just going to gently go into the interior. Now, I'm not going to turn in because driving tests are just beginning to go out, so I don't want to get in any of their way, but that would be the end of the test. You would turn back into the car park there, and that would be you finished. So yeah, hopefully that all makes sense. Let me know in the comments below if that is helpful. If you have any questions, then yeah, let me know. Good luck.